Thank you for coming back to Conversations with Jennifer. Jennifer's an estate planning attorney, and today we're going to talk about conservatorship. I've known clients that have had to go through this. Luckily, with my own parents, my parents had a trust, and in that trust document had other documents that help avoid conservatorship. But one thing I'd like to mention before we get started is some of these things have a long life in the sense that they don't happen all at once. And, losing your marbles could take time, so to speak, I guess. And by the time it gets to a point where you're getting help or somebody else has to step in, a lot of stuff has probably happened through that point. So Jennifer, why don't we start off with what is conservatorship?
Okay, so conservatorship is essentially a court process where an individual's capacity is essentially determined to be lacking, and it can be either for financial reasons or personal reasons. So meaning, someone files a petition with the court, and it's the court's job to determine whether or not this person can make decisions for himself or herself any longer. And we've talked in the past about a probate administration here in California. A conservatorship proceeding is even more complicated and very involved, and there are a lot of different people involved in this process. And it makes sense, the court, who is a neutral judge here in San Diego, is going to be making a really important decision about whether or not, for example, I can make my own financial decisions, or if I can take care of myself any longer. And so courts really want to have a lot of information and people involved opining on whether or not, myself as an individual can still act. So it's a really, really involved process. And as you know, Amar, there are certain documents that you can put in place in order to avoid that whole process. You had mentioned, your dad, hopefully, just like your parents, the client or the individual will have the opportunity to put together documents and revise those documents and review those documents over their lifetime. But sometimes things happen that are unforeseen. I have a couple of pending conservatorships right now, and it was very much the individual one day just had a massive stroke and had no documents in place. And we had to go through the conservatorship proceeding, and this conservatorship is ongoing. There's really no end to conservatorships unless the individual passes away. Or they recover or have some form of recovery where a conservatorship can be unwound. Britney Spears is a perfect example of how that can happen over time, where the person essentially gets their act together, so to speak, and can now manage their own affairs.
Yeah. So I guess. It's funny you brought up Britney Spears, because we've seen her in the news with like her going to court and stuff like that with attorneys.
Yep.
But let's say you have this massive stroke. Do you have to go to court? Does the judge have to physically see you?
Yeah. So no, typically not. So, but you want to explain, essentially, because the judge would like to be able to talk to the person, because that's a part of the analysis as well. Is you're filing paperwork, or your family members, those close to you, are filing this paperwork. But obviously, it has to do with you, so you should have your opportunity to be able to be heard. Some people are so debilitated, though, that they can't do that. But there's, there are other third parties involved who will, on behalf of the court or the judge, go in and do their own analysis. So they'll go meet with the proposed conservatee to make sure all of the things we're presenting in our paperwork is accurate. So, what is their health situation? What's their living situation? All of that. So then that neutral third party who is paid through this conservatorship proceeding will then present to the judge as far as what their findings are. So again, going back to, there are multiple people involved in these types of proceedings.
Yeah, and I guess that's good. We're not wheeling grandma in her wheelchair into a
No.
courthouse. Like that's like not what we want, right?
I mean, we
So
have done that. The conservatorship proceedings are, they're considered the sort of proceedings that's an individual could do potentially without an attorney. So those types of cases, you do see a lot of people just kind of going in and doing the best they can as far as getting these proceedings pushed forward.
yeah, no, that's the so all right. So we talked about what conservatorship is, and hopefully by now it's clear you want to avoid conservatorship.
Mhm.
While you have all your faculties, how do you avoid conservatorship?
Okay. So keep in mind, as I mentioned, this is essentially I'm living, but I can't manage my financial or personal affairs for myself. And so a will is not going to have any impact on that situation because that's a document that's only effective once you pass away, once you die. So the documents we're talking about to avoid a conservatorship are financial, durable general powers of attorney, as well as trust. A durable general power of attorney will essentially appoint someone who can manage your financial affairs for you. If you were to become incapacitated, or it could be immediate as well. You could just have a point person kind of in charge to kind of help you manage your financial affairs. So we have that document. Again, you can also have a trust in place. You can have both documents in place.
Mhm.
A trust is more comprehensive, as we've talked about in the past, Amar, because it'll deal not only with I'm alive and I have capacity, I'm alive and I'm incapacitated, and I've passed away, and now what's going to happen with my assets? But an important part of the trust structure and provisions are I am incapacitated. What's going to happen now? And so, really, either one of those documents will deal with an incapacity situation and hopefully avoid a conservatorship.
That's that, and I guess that's the point. It's so simple. You just need one of these two documents, and
Yeah.
you avoid all of this, and you have the ability to pick who can make those decisions for you when you're not able.
Yeah. And I
So,
will say on the financial power of attorney, California, if you go right to the California probate code, they have a form right there in the probate code for a financial power of attorney. So California wants it to be very easy for people to manage their financial affairs. Also, there's a form healthcare directive. So if you want someone in place making medical decisions for you, if you cannot, both of those forms and documents are online. You can look them up. If you look up the California probate code and you type in statutory power of attorney or statutory advanced healthcare directive, you can print it and complete that form yourself. So again, trusts are a bit more complicated and have a bit more bells and whistles in place, but you can do a simple financial, simple healthcare directive, even a simple will. All of that's provided by the state of California.
and that's awesome. And maybe we can link those below in
Yeah.
the description here as well. And yeah, you just print it out. You can go to, I don't know, your UPS store and just get it notarized, and that's takes some of this burden off. So if you guys would please like, subscribe, all the good stuff, so YouTube knows that we're out here and helps other people find the same type of content. Again, we like to keep this a conversation. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave it below, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.